separating and throttling calorimeter is an apparatus which is used for determination of dryness fraction of the steam. And we said that the dryness fraction of the steam, it varies from 0 being the dryness fraction when we are talking about saturated water, and it extends up to 1 when the steam becomes saturated. That is, for the dry saturated steam, the dryness fraction is unity. For the saturated water, it is 0. So this apparatus helps us to determine the dryness fraction of the steam. In the real life, if there is some steam which is flowing through a steam pipe, and if you want to determine its dryness fraction, then in the real life, what you do is that you take a sample of that steam, we bleed that steam from the pipe, and we send it to the separating and throttling calorimeter. So that is what we do. In the real life, we take some sample and send it to the separating and throttling calorimeter. In the lab, what we do is that we have a small boiler, and that small boiler would generate some steam, and that steam is passed through the separating and throttling calorimeter. So this apparatus actually is not very useful for the accuracy purpose, but this apparatus which we have in the lab, it helps us to clarify the concept. That's all. Okay. So we should not be worried about the accuracy as to the accuracy of what we get from the separating and throttling calorimeter in the lab is not much useful. On the contrary, our aim is to use the lab setup to appreciate the concept of separating and throttling calorimeter. Now the name itself is a combination of two words. One is it is a separating calorimeter plus it is a throttling calorimeter. Okay, it is a separating calorimeter and it is a throttling calorimeter. Now separating calorimeter, as the name indicates, there is a separation, there is a physical separation of some water from the steam. Now when we say the steam is wet, we understand that the steam being wet means it has got certain moisture content in it. There is some moisture content in it. So in the separator, what we do is that when the steam enters the separating calorimeter, there is a physical separation of water and the steam emerges out slightly dry. Okay, so the steam at B as compared to the steam at A would be more dry. That is, it would be relatively dry as compared to A. Mind well, at A we have wet steam, at B also we have wet steam, but the wetness has decreased. And why has the wetness decreased? The wetness has decreased because you have separated some of the moisture from the steam. And how is this separation done? This is done physically. Means what we do is that we allow the steam to change its path in the separating calorimeter. There are baffles here provided. So when the steam just takes a U-turn, like kind of U-turn, it goes down and rises up, and then it goes to the other part of the calorimeter, that is the throttling calorimeter, as a result of which the moisture part, it settles down. This you can imagine, that moisture being a heavier fraction than the gaseous part, it settles down and it gets collected in the inner chamber of the separating and throttling calorimeter. So this is what is the separator part. So here you see this portion, which I am moving the cursor. This portion is the separator part. And as I said, in the separator, what we do is that we remove the moisture physically from the wet steam. And then finally, once it is collected in this, we can then collect it using a beaker. Okay, so we can put a beaker over here after some time interval. This experiment is to be performed over a given time interval. So in that time interval, we can collect this water which is separated. Okay, now once you collect this water which is separated, that is a volume which is collected. And the volume which is collected, okay, that can be converted into mass, you understand, if you know the specific volume. The specific volume of this water can be found from the steam table, or you know the density of the water. So a better way is to find the specific volume at the given temperature at which the water is collected. That specific volume and the volume which is collected, volume upon specific volume would give you the mass of the water which is separated in the separator. Okay. So here what you are collecting is volume. Then reading the specific volume, you can find out what is the mass of the water which is separated in the from the separating calorimeter. Right? Now what is? It is not simply a separating calorimeter. It is a separating and throttling calorimeter. Means what? You throttle the steam from B to C. You see that there is a throttling wall here. Here also you see that there is a throttling wall. So there is a throttling wall here, and what we do is that we throttle the steam. You throttle the steam from B to C, and when there is a throttling of the steam from B to C, the steam becomes superheated. Okay. Now, why it becomes superheated, that I will explain you later. But when you throttle the steam from B to C, the steam becomes superheated. Okay. This superheated steam, if you want to find its enthalpy, we have just studied the properties of steam, and we said that if the steam is superheated, its enthalpy can be found out by knowing the temperature of the steam and by knowing the pressure of the steam. So we need to record the pressure after throttling, we need to record the temperature after throttling, and then from the superheated steam table, we can find the specific enthalpy after throttling. So here in the experimental setup, there has to be a pressure gauge. This gauge reading has to be converted into absolute pressure by adding the atmospheric pressure. And then there is a thermocouple here, and using a temperature indicator, which you would read what is being measured by the thermocouple, you can know what is the temperature after throttling. So temperature after throttling is known, the pressure after throttling is known, and hence you can find the enthalpy after throttling. Right? What readings you are supposed to take before throttling? That is, you need to take the specific enthalpy. To find the specific enthalpy of the steam before throttling, you need to take the pressure reading before the throttling. So pressure before the throttling has also to be read. So this pressure gauge which is shown over here, this would give you the pressure before throttling. We are assuming that in the separator there is no pressure drop. So there is no pressure gauge connected over here, but to be more exact, we should have the pressure gauge over here. But in the lab setup, we can assume that there is no significant pressure drop in the separator. So the pressure here, that is after separator and before separation, is the same. Okay. So this pressure, which is before throttling, again has to be converted into absolute pressure by adding the atmospheric pressure. And as I said, that the throttling process is an isenthalpic process. The enthalpy remains constant during throttling. So the enthalpy before throttling, we equate to enthalpy after throttling, and we calculate what is known as X2. What is known as X2. Okay. So X2 is calculated by taking the pressure before throttling and by taking the pressure and temperature after throttling. Right. One more reading is essential in your separating and throttling calorimeter, and that is the condensate which is collected after the throttling calorimeter. What we do is that, as I said, after throttling, the steam becomes superheated. We note down its temperature and pressure, and then it is sent to the condenser. Now, condenser means what? The steam which is let out from the throttling device is passed through the condenser, and it is cooled by some external supply of water, and that steam gets converted to liquid water, that is condensate. So how do you do that? So you have an external loop of cooling water in this condenser. That cooling water would get into this and it would come out. Okay, and as a result of which the steam which is being passed over here, that gaseous steam gets converted into liquid water, that is condensate. And because this liquid water is a condensate, we can again put a beaker over here. A beaker would collect the volume of that condensate, and that volume which is collected can be converted into mass again by taking the corresponding specific volume reading from the steam table. Okay, Now, so it means that you have taken two volume readings. This is the volume of the condensate converted into mass, and volume of the moisture which is separated from the separator, and which is again getting converted into mass by reading the specific volume. So these two volumes converted into mass helps us to find what is known as X1. So as I said, doing steam sampling, you take the pressure before throttling, you take the pressure after throttling. This is the pressure after throttling, pressure before throttling. You take the temperature of the throttled steam, that is superheated steam here, using a thermocouple reading. Then after steam sampling, as I said, we collect the mass which is from this, the condensate. That is, this is capital M. You can call this capital M or whatever you want notation, but I'm using the notation capital M over here. And you collect the small m over here, that is a mass which is separated in the separator. So you have now how many observations? Small m, that is here. Actually, you are measuring volume and converting it to mass. Okay, note that. But finally, you will get small m. Similarly, capital M over here, and also the pressure before throttling, pressure after throttling, and temperature after throttling. So these are the only 5 observations we would be requiring for doing this experiment. Now, how do you calculate the dryness fraction? For calculating the dryness fraction, as I said, first I find X2 by equating the enthalpy of the steam after throttling with the enthalpy before throttling. So enthalpy before throttling is what? It is HF plus XHFG. HF plus X2 HFG. And enthalpy after throttling is what? H superheated at C. So using this, you get this expression. S superheated at C minus HF upon this. Okay, so HF plus XHFG. This is HFG. Okay, this is HF at B. This is HFG at B. And it is S superheated at C. So from that you get X2. And how do you find X1? X1 you find from this mass and this mass by using this formula. That is X1 is equal to M upon, what is M? This is capital M, upon small m, this is small m, upon capital plus capital M. So M upon M plus M. So X is equal to X1 into X2, and that gives us the dryness fraction. So using this masses, you find X1. Using the enthalpies, you find X2, and then you find X as a product of X1 and X2. Okay, so this is how you calculate the dryness fraction using separating and throttling calorimeter. I hope this is understood. Okay.